But Mr. Trump has it in mind that one of the easiest ways of doing that is absorbing our country. And it is a real thing.
Well, hello there. Well, before he resigned from leadership last spring, Justin Trudeau warned us that the Nod father was serious about taking our resources and that we should take his words as a real threat. Well, we absolutely do, and we've been elbows all the way up ever since.
We get to see the maple trees, maple sugar on the maple leaves. We got the biggest wheat fields growing tall. In CANADA, where we see the reversing falls. In Canada, we get to see them all.
G'day, eh? It's been just about a year since the melon felon insulted our former Prime Minister, joking about Canada being the 51st state and with Trudeau as its governor. Nobody here was laughing, and our response was swift, with a citizen-led boycott of U.S. goods and travel that's done a lot of direct economic damage to our former trade and tourism partners already. Sorry, eh? And now, with Carney leading the way at home and abroad, Canada is increasingly seen as a model of stability and partnership, both economically and strategically going forward. Canada's never been in a better position to steer away from the crazy neighbours downstairs while covering our backs with increased spending and defence and recruiting more to join the troops. More on that in a minute. Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic, once interviewed people in and around the administration searching for a definition of the Trump doctrine. What was the most concise and accurate? We're America, bitch. Well, buddy, Canada says, hold my far superior beer.
Internal documents obtained by CBC News reveal a proposal for a massive new mobilization by Canada's military. They show the Department of National Defence is making preparations to take on hundreds of thousands of reservists and citizen soldiers. The country's top soldier describes the proposal as a work in progress and one that will potentially be presented to the federal government in the coming months. The CBC's defence correspondent Murray Brewster is on the story for us, and he joins us now from Ottawa. So Murray, where is this proposal coming from? And it certainly sounds very ambitious.
Well, it is an ambitious proposal, Andrew. It comes out of the NATO summit of 2024, where NATO was basically telling all of its members to be ready in one capacity or another to fight some kind of conventional conflict if that ever happens. And it has been decades since Canada had a mobilization plan. When I say decades, we could perhaps even go back to as far as the Cold War, because during the Cold War it was felt that because the conflict might potentially go nuclear very quickly, there was no need to have mobilization plans. So in many respects, the Department of National Defence is starting almost from square one in terms of being able to draw up these plans to mobilize the country in the event of a major emergency or a major catastrophe.
Instead of wasting National Guard troops on fool's errands, park beautification or some such, just for the theatre of fear, our government has been planning for an expanding training of more national reservists with a call for more citizens and vets to join what's now being called a 300,000 citizens army. Since the plan was first made public, the response has been enthusiastic, to say the least. People across this land are ready, willing, and with training will be able to fight for their country and democracy. The overwhelming response and support for this initiative is visible in the social media comments and clips from real people coming from all backgrounds and age groups. And there's a sense of firm resolve and fierce determination in the zeitgeist. And we'll do our part when called.
Here, welcome to a special edition of the Bill Kelly Podcast. And the essence of what was being discussed here is essentially to try to find volunteers to join. Nobody's going to be conscripted, by the way. Let me get that out there right now. That this is not anybody's going to be forced. It's not going to be a draft. They're looking for people that can volunteer to be reservists. That's what it is. I don't know who coined the Citizens Army thing, but for those who may not be familiar with the term of reservists, those are people that sign up for the military. What they do, of course, is they train in the military. They have training exercises. They are committed to so many weeks per month where they are actually doing military training and military service. So it's not as if these are just people that are doing their thing and then all of a sudden they get a call and said, hey, grab your rifle. Come on, we need you over here. That's not it at all. I think it makes an awful lot of sense. I mean, Prime Minister Carney has committed Canada to a deeper and a more intense involvement in NATO. And that's a good thing. I mean, given the situation of what's going on in the world these days, that we need to have that commitment. And here's the thing. It's great that we're going to buy fighter jets. I still prefer the Swedish model, by the way, but that's another discussion. And the submarines, etc. But you need people. All right. You need people. You need people to run these things. You need people to do the research. You need people to do intelligence gathering. And we don't have enough of them. And so the question I'm asking here is, would you volunteer?
Cynthia Cousins writes, the number of Canada flags being displayed across eastern Ontario, and I'm certain elsewhere across this great nation, there are thousands, little ones on posts, fences, apartment balconies, on new flagpoles, door hangers, stapled on barn doors. This is amazing. It brings tears to my eyes. This is proof, Mr. Trump. Don't come here for a true, nor strong and free ball kicking. Rob Verdi writes, and we've been getting a lot from people who served, have military background, and are willing to step up. I was in the reserves in my 20s in the Black Watch. I'm in my 50s. I will still gladly do whatever I can to help Canada defend from all enemies. And here's one from Peachland, British Columbia. Hey, Charlie, from another Charlie. I believe in peace, love, and understanding first, but some people need a punch in the head, because that is all they understand. Sad but true. I will never bow to Trump or anyone else who demands control of me. Have a nice day.
This is not just about security at home, although that's a big concern. We've seen what's happened in Ukraine, and with the U.S. now bending the knee to Moscow, well, not just now, but they're bending the knee to Moscow, and he's threatening the EU and NATO. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned Thursday that members of the alliances could be Russia's next target, calling for a rapid rise in defense spending to prevent a war similar to those seen by the past. And last week, Denmark declared the U.S. a national security threat. A sharper U.S. focus on its immediate region and the hemispheric approach of Washington's new national security strategy has created doubts in Copenhagen about America's long-term role in the Arctic. Denmark's Outlook 2025 concludes that the strategic shift could leave the region more exposed amid rising Russian and Chinese military activity. I've been saying that for a long time. According to the national security strategy, the U.S. also targets 4 nations it wants to leave the EU, like Brexit style, including Austria, Hungary, Poland, and Italy.
Wants to persuade 4 more countries to leave the European Union to, quote, make Europe great again, according to reports of a longer, still classified version of the U.S. national security strategy released last week. There is an active strategy to weaken the European Union from the inside and encourage right-wing nationalist movements to pull countries apart. Countries like Italy, Poland, Austria, pull away from the EU and use the same Brexit playbook, which is to empower strongmen and just replace the democratic norms and guardrails that exist. You can see this model in Hungary under Viktor Orban. It's a country that still kind of holds elections, but democracy isn't really there anymore. It's a shell of a democracy, as they say. Authoritarianism is growing. With Italy, we have Giorgia Meloni. Poland, we have far-right nationalist movements. And if these countries pull away from the EU towards a more far-right populist movement, then democracy abroad is not strengthened. Then Vladimir Putin can continue to install even more stooges. It is not a good reality. We do not want that. The Trump admin wants these countries to pull away. There are also suggestions of creating a new elite C5, or the Core 5 Forum of world powers, to sideline the G7, comprising America, China, India, Japan, and Russia. Wow, sounds about right. The 4 EU countries seen as targets to follow Brexit.
Canadians have strong memories of the last 2 world wars, and when our citizens also held firm on the home front. And for those who didn't serve in the military at home, the war dominated civilian life, with the government coordinating a massive national mobilization. Thousands of Canadians, including many women, worked in factories that produced vast amounts of war materials, such as ships, aircraft, military vehicles, and munitions. They purchased victory bonds, also called war bonds, to loan money to the government, exceeding all expectations in successive national drives. Civilians engaged in widespread voluntary service through organizations like Red Cross, Imperial Order of Daughters of the Empire, knitted socks for soldiers, produced goods, and raised funds. An ordinary life was subject to strict controls to support the war effort. Canadians accepted rations of food and goods and participated in national campaigns to preserve and salvage fats and bones and other essential materials for munitions production. Bones and fats. Wow. Communities hosted military training centers, and the country as a whole took pride in supporting the troops and the broader Allied cause. Damn straight. The war fundamentally transformed Canada, solidifying its independence on the world stage and leaving a legacy of proud sacrifice. My granny, she saved up string and empty boxes, bless her, until the day she died. I think I've inherited that gene. And on the battlefields, General Omar Bradley famously said that Canadians fight like they have something to prove. Well, Canadians were feared in war during World War One due to their reputation as highly effective shock troops, and were particularly known for their innovative and brutal trench raiding tactics, often using stealthy methods like blackening their faces and using homemade weapons. Well, Canada was unprepared when it declared war on Germany in 1939, independent of formerly British. Britain would have to include us or ask us to join, but we declared war, damn it, in 1939. And the regular army of 4,500 men, augmented by 51,000 partly trained reservists, possessed virtually no modern equipment. The Air Force had fewer than 20 modern combat aircraft, while the Navy's combat potential consisted of only 6 destroyers, the smallest class of ocean-going warships. It was a modest beginning. Canada's General Keller studied where the landings had gone wrong after Dieppe, and he came up with a crazy-sounding strategy that went against all conventional tactics, and it's now known as the Momentum Doctrine. On June 16th, 1944, D-Day, Canada punched a 5-mile hole in the German Atlantic Wall on Juno Beach as troops stormed the beach at 30-second intervals, eventually overwhelming the Germans. They pushed inland further and faster and with fewer casualties than anticipated, and were the only Allied unit to achieve their final objective. And the tactic was adopted and became standard practice until the end of the war. Momentum is now taught in military academies, and historians refer to Juno Beach as the tactical masterpiece of D-Day operations. Whatever it takes, we'll die before we allow Canada to fall to MAGA or anyone else, and we're the true North, standing on guard. I have more coming about our military strategy and defense upgrades and partners soon, so please make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell for more. But the last word goes to Charlie Angus.
A major role. Maybe you haven't heard about the Canadian Rangers. Well, the Canadian Rangers are already on the ground defending Northern Canada. They are in the Northern First Nations. They do incredible work on the land, training survival skills. And the other thing the Canadian Rangers do is they have the Junior Rangers program where they're training young people in this. I think it would be really inspiring to have a young chapter to get young people involved and train them up in these skills. So again, training people in first aid, communications, logistics, anything that could be used from the local level up. Particularly, okay, maybe there is a wildfire. Maybe some disasters happened besides MAGA. But having that kind of a team that's already there to help, of course, they're not going to be interfering with the paramedics. They're not going to supersede fire rescue, whatever. But as an auxiliary body, trained up, and with that sense of spirit and Canadian pride, what an incredible thing that could be. Number 7, ensure that we're training people in drones, in civilian defense, and we need to invite Ukrainian trainers to Canada. We've sent so many Canadian trainers to Ukraine and Latvia. Let's bring the Ukrainians here and train up. And we know that the Prime Minister and the Canada's military are already talking with Ukraine about drone technology and building drones here. Everyone should be learning. I got so many people who are more than willing to start studying drones right now to be ready. I'd also say number 8, let these local battalions have a strong social media presence, promote their work, promote their communities, promote Canada, make people feel that these groups, these battalions have the back of Canada and they're in this for the right reason. The Ukrainians had an incredible social media presence in fighting the Russians. It's been very, very inspiring. We need to inspire people right now. We need to give people hope. What we're seeing right now is a determination from Canadians. And I think we have to respect the intelligence of Canadians. Canadians understand the threat. They understand what's at stake. They don't want to have to go further than what we have to go, but we will go as far as we have to defend our country. My message to Prime Minister Carney, I am more than willing to volunteer. I'm more than willing to help out. I know so many are. We need to hear our Prime Minister give us that wartime vision, the encouragement, and trust. We trust each other. We're Canadians. We've got this. It's the Juno Beach gene. It's in all of us. We've always been true, north, strong, and free, and we'll always be true, north, strong, and free. Keep the messages coming. Hit subscribe. We really need to continue to build this because these are issues that are not being discussed on Canada's nightly talk show panels. This is why you're coming to Midas Touch. This is why you're coming to Midas Canada. So hit subscribe. Follow Charlie Angus, The Resistance. And we keep kicking at that darkness, my friend, because it will bleed daylight. Thank you. Merci, and make wit.
The news is divided. Ground news puts it back together. So you can see how many sources are reporting on any breaking story, where they fall on the political spectrum, how reliable they are, and who owns them. Compare headlines and read full articles to see which details are prioritized, exaggerated, or left out entirely. Because the more we understand the media, the more we'll understand each other. Visit ground.news to learn more.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads, it's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works.